Oh wait, guys!
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here this morning. My name is Shayna Crandall, and I'm an organizer with Reclaim Rhode Island. For the last several months, I've had the honor of fighting alongside these brave and passionate leaders of the path-breaking Elmwood Tenant Union. They've been through a bitter fight already, so let's give them a huge round of applause for standing up to a bully and building a union with their neighbors. Way to go! Woo! We're also here to show slumlords and their enablers that we are organized and we will not back down until all Rhode Islanders are guaranteed safe and stable housing. To get there, we need to pass the Tenant Bill of Rights, and we need to build fighting tenant unions that can take on slumlords and win. First up, I'm going to pass it to Pat Crowley, a passionate champion for the working class on the job and at home.
Right behind you.
Thank you, Shayna. You know, the labor movement is here because we understand things very clearly that if you have a boss, you need a union. It doesn't matter if they're a good boss or a bad boss. You need a union. Well, a landlord is just a boss by another name. So whether or not you have a slumlord boss or you have a good boss, you need a union if you have a landlord. And that's why the labor movement is here. We want to make sure that working people, whether they're at the job or at their house, they have the same rights to organize, to protect themselves and their families. This is an important step forward for progress for working class Rhode Islanders. The tenants union and the labor unions of this state stand arm in arm to make sure that scumbag landlords like you're dealing with get what's coming to them. Keep fighting. We're with you 100%. Let's get this together. Solidarity forever.
Thank you, Pat. So next up, I'm going to pass it to incredible tenant union leader Kelly Silva. Woo!
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. A lot of people have probably heard my name and a few other people's names involved in the issues at hand. A lot of people are getting it misconstrued and thinking that we are fighting for lower rents and to not pay rent. That is not what we are here for. I think we can all agree on that. Nobody wants, that's not what we're asking for. We want livable conditions. We want heat in our apartment. We want to not have cracks and holes in our apartment that mice are coming through. We have a mouse infestation. We have no heat. The building is falling apart section by section. We have OSHA violations. We just want to change, and we're going to work together to get that.
Thank you, Kelly. Next up is my incredible colleague from Reclaim Rhode Island and the People's Champion from Pawtucket, State Rep Cherie Cruz.
I just want to thank all the tenant leaders and supporters for being here today, because this is what collective action looks like, and this is how we're going to win. It shouldn't be this hard to get just basic minimum housing standards. Tenants shouldn't be faced with retaliation just for asking for simple repairs. They shouldn't have arbitrary rent increases and eviction notices and harassment just for safe housing. And that's why we're here today, standing with tenants all across Rhode Island, and especially the Elmwood Tenants Union, to fight for those safe conditions.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Rep. David Morales, who is always there to stand up for poor and working class people in the State House. Thank you, David.
Now, neighbors, today we are standing in firm solidarity with our renters. We're standing in firm solidarity with the Elmwood Tenants Union because month after month, tenant after tenant, we have had households that have been forced to live in deplorable conditions. And to add further insult to injury, they have been met with retaliation, with threats. And for that reason, we are here together as a community. And at the same time, we further need to advocate and ensure that within our state laws, we solidify a tenant's right to organize. A tenant's right to organize and form a tenant union.
Yes.
And to go further, we have to ensure that there is a formal process for tenant unions to file grievances and complaints against any property management company or slumlord that is in violation of code or is using threatening behavior against their tenants. Because more often than not, our renters, over 40% of the population in this state, feel vulnerable. We feel powerless. But this is why we organize. This is why we're together as a union, in solidarity. And we're gonna keep on fighting, because a fight has started years ago and has come to this moment and will continue to persist to ensure that every tenant, regardless of zip code, regardless of socioeconomic background, has safe living conditions. So thank you all so much for being here, to Reclaim for helping organize our tenants, but most importantly, to our tenants themselves for empowering each other.
Thank you, David. So the SEIU 1199 Northeast has been an incredible partner in this work from the beginning. Every step of the way, they've been there to support. So next up, we've got the Vice President of the 1199 Northeast, Jesse Martin.
Thank you. You know, power concedes nothing without struggle. And what we see with landlords, slumlords, is the only tactic they use is fear. Just like an employer, when workers are trying to organize in the workplace, they scare people on whether or not they have a job tomorrow. If they talk to their coworkers about how much they're making, or their salary, or their health insurance, or their retirement, or safe staffing. And as a union that represents caregivers across the state of Rhode Island, in group homes, and in nursing homes, and in hospitals, and in home care, in the most vulnerable populations, our members at 1199 can't take full care of the people we care for at work when someone doesn't have a place that's safe to live in. Simple as that. The cycle of poverty, the cycle of poor health continues when we don't have a safe place to call home. We stand proudly with the tenants to fight for justice, and to fight for recognition, and to fight for the safety of talking to their neighbors. No one should feel at risk because they talk to their neighbors. We're in full support, and we will be here all the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Next up, we've got Tenant Union Leader Melissa Potter.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out this morning. It's been quite the battle. I've been on the property for 2 years at this point, and I gave up the battle for a while because none of the other neighbors would join in on and fight the good fight. So I'm so appreciative of the fact that my brave neighbors came and moved in and got us, and we all came together to finally do this and finally get the conditions that we deserve. We all work too hard to just be throwing our money aside for no reason. Being a landlord is like any other job in this world. You're providing a service, and when you are not giving us the service that we're providing, you're supposed to be providing us, which is a safe home, it's time for you to find a different business to be in.
All right, thank you all so much for coming out today. It shouldn't be this hard to get working heat. So these tenants who have broken windows, broken heat, had to take a day off work to represent themselves against a landlord lawyer who's been doing this for decades. So it's time that we pass right to counsel so that everyone in eviction court and everyone who needs to file a civil matter like these folks has a lawyer by their side. And we need to pass the rest of the Tenant Bill of Rights too. We've had the right to organize for 40 years. It's time that tenant unions got recognition and a hearing process so they can take bad actor landlords to account. So right now behind us, there's a bunch of folks in eviction court right now, so we can all maybe turn, show them our signs, and we'll head into the court to support these folks as they seek relief for their conditions at home. Thanks everybody so much.
Other way,